大家好，我是秦苏珊律师。那我今天的话呢，会跟我们的团队，就是洪法官还有 Craig， 我们会去讨论这个Dignity Act 尊严法案。那现在很多人呢对这个 Dignity Act 的尊严法案有很大的希望，就说，那是不是这个法案过了，意味着我们可以拿到一个合法的身份，或者是说7年之后我们可以自由往返等等。那很多人都不明白，就说当有这么一个法案出来，它是否真的会变成现实？那就说，那在美国一个法案出来，它要经历一个什么样的流程才会最终变成一个政策，它可以变成执行的状态中。Hey, good morning, Judge Ham and Craig.
Yes.
Right. So right now, we are getting a lot of calls about the Dignity Act. The Chinese communities, everybody's talking about, say, hey, with what's going on right now with ICE raiding everyone and everybody's getting arrested and deported. So they're saying, look, the Dignity Act is bringing hope. Are we eligible? When is it going to be a reality? Can we stay here and get a legal status? So first of all, I want to ask you, Judge Han. So the Dignity Act, is it going to become a reality or is it just a talk?
Right now, it's just a talking point. It's a House bill that has been proposed. Because before it can become law, it needs to pass the House, Senate, and then signed into law by the president. But right now, it's just a proposal. And the proposal is called the Dignity Act. It's H.R. 4393, which means it's a House resolution. And the thing that you have to know about it, which most people don't, is that for undocumented individual, it does not lead to any permanent status in the United States. You do not have a pathway to U.S. citizenship, but you will have, if qualified, an ability to remain in the United States, to work in the United States, and to travel, but under strict controls by the Immigration Department. It gives, if qualified, it gives you a 7-year renewable deferred status, which means they won't remove you from the United States during that 7-year period, unless you violate the terms and conditions of the program. You also need to pay $7,000 to be qualified for the program, and that could be paid out $1,000 a year for the 7-year period. And you need to establish during that 7-year period that you've at least worked before the 7 years, you file taxes, and that you did not obtain public health insurance or federal benefits during that period of time. If you fall into trouble with any of those provisions, and then you can lose this 7-year renewable deferred status program.
Yeah, that's the 7 years. All the requirements got a lot of my clients hopes high. So they are very excited about this Dignity Act. So they say, when is it going to become a reality? Just like before, when Biden took administration or when Obama was a president, they all had different executive orders that would, a lot of immigrants would benefit from those executive orders. So earlier you said this is a bill right now. It's sitting in the House, and then so the Senate has to consent to it, and then it will be signed into a bill, right? So it sounds like we're still pretty far from this bill becoming an actual order to, become a reality. So Craig, let me ask you this. Like Judge Ham said, it's in the House, and then, the Senate has to sign it. Can you just educate us about, the whole legislation procedure? How did it become a bill? Who proposed it? And then it goes to the House, then goes to the Senate, and then it eventually becomes a reality? Is that how it works?
So the good thing about this bill, it has bipartisan support. So you need sponsors of the bill. So right now we have Democrats and Republican members of Congress who are sponsoring this bill in the U.S. House of Representatives. Right now there's no companion bill in the Senate, so there's no U.S. Senator sponsoring this bill right now. This bill is right now in the House committee, which is reviewing the bill. It's still, this is like a compromise bill, but, you're still having opposition from both sides. A lot of Republicans are going to oppose this bill because their narrative is anyone who enters the country illegally is a criminal, and they don't want to reward that behavior. On the other side, Democrats, are going to be not happy with the bill because it does not provide a pathway to citizenship. So This is kind of like a compromise bill that these members of Congress are looking to address. But comprehensive immigration reform has been a challenge. It's been a very politically hot topic. I am concerned about this administration not being serious about comprehensive immigration reform because they like to run in the chaos, and also they don't want to be seen as weak. Caving into, rewarding people who they perceived as criminals for entering the country illegally, or undocumented immigrants. So I think it's a good sign that this has bipartisan support, but this is a very, very long way before this becomes reality, if at all.
That's good to know, because the last 2 weeks we've been getting a lot of calls, and everybody say, hey, am I eligible for the Dignity Act? Can I stay here legally? Does that mean I can get a valid I-94, like a parole card, to go out of the country and then come back? I remember when Biden was the president, he had a 8-year pathway to citizenship. And somehow that thing never became a reality. So now people are asking, how much longer do we have to wait until this becomes a reality? If it does become a reality, that would the next president invalidate the current policy?
So if the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate pass the bill and the president signs the bill, then it becomes law, and then it's very hard to undo that law, because again, you need both the House and the Senate and the president again to reverse or make any changes. So if it does become law, it would be a very, 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 very strong law. But right now there's going to be a lot of debate over it. There probably going to be a lot of changes, and our federal government is very ineffective in passing bills. So I am not too optimistic of it being passed anytime soon, because I don't know if members of Congress are interested in doing the right thing. I mean, I think we saw under Biden, they had a bipartisan bill that they killed because they like campaigning on immigration. It's a winning issue for Republicans, to demonize and attack people and rally their base of support. So I would be very optimistic about, cautiously optimistic about this bill passing under this administration. But things could change in the midterm elections. If the Democrats take back the House, I think there'd be a renewed push for comprehensive immigration reform.
So Judge Hom, so with the Dignity Act right now is sitting in the House. So when we do immigration, let's say, proceedings, can we use that as a mitigating evidence, or use that as some kind of proposal to have the judge grant us a relief in our favor? Let's say if we submitted a motion for change of venue, or motion for bond, or motion for removal order. Let's say if somebody is facing deportation, and then we can say, this bill is sitting in the House, it's waiting to be approved. Once this bill is approved, that would give our client some kind of relief. So would this bill do any of us any favor?
Right. As Greg said, it's a long way from becoming law, and it's speculative at best. Most judges will not grant any type of affirmative relief on the basis of a proposed legislation, and that didn't even get voted on by the House, but by the full House yet, and hasn't been considered by the Senate, and which all must be done before the congressional term ends by the end of the year. Once it ends, then the bill dies and it has to be revived again in the new year with a new Congress. So unlikely at this particular point that they would be getting any favorable benefit from the proposal of the Dignity Act. The one good thing, though, in the Dignity Act, it did propose that for Dreamers and those individuals temporary protected status, they could secure a pathway to citizenship under this particular provision, provided they meet the requirements that are set forth in the thing. So this is sort of an extension of what Biden tried to do, as you mentioned, 8 years ago. But again, it's a long way from becoming law at this particular point. But what people need to know also, that the Dignity Act for undocumented individuals who came into the United States without inspection or illegally, it is not a pathway for permanent residency in the United States.
Okay, good to know. 那刚才的话呢，就是我们的退休法官，然后还有就是 Craig 律师，我们讨论了一下这个尊严法案。那尊严法案它到底会不会最后成为一个法案去帮助到大家？那刚才洪法官跟 Craig 都讲了，就其实这个法案 要让它成为现实是非常遥远的。现在呢，它只是在叫 House， 那最后要进的 Senate， 也就是说，它要就是在美国2个部门都要同意签字之后，它才会最后的成为一个法案去执行。那尊严法案的话，大家都知道，就是说，如果它真的最后变成这个法案了以后呢，它就可以帮到很多非移民的人，就是至少可以有一个合法的身份或者不被递解。那它这个尊严法案的话呢，其实跟拜登刚刚上台的时候说8年可以拿公民的那条法案是非常相似的，但是拜登的那个就是8年拿公民的这个法案呢，最后也就没有任何的音讯了，都被大家所遗忘了。那现在大家又对尊严法案就是抱有很高的希望，可是呢，这个希望我们刚才律师团队讨论了，其实在目前看来是非常渺小的所以就说，如果大家对尊严法案或者对现在的移民身份的处境该怎么办呢？可以找秦苏珊律师做一个详细的咨询。那就目前尊严法案而言的话呢，我们在打庭或在保释或在做任何辩护的时候呢，都没有办法用尊严法案作为一个好的理由说现在就是有一个法案，如果说它变成现实的话呢，它是可以帮到就是现在很多非法移民的人。那刚才就是洪法官也讲，就是在上庭的时候，很多移民法官他不会去考虑这个因素，因为这个法案现在还是在最初级的阶段，所以呢，这个法案要想最后变成现实还是非常漫长的。感谢大家的收看，有任何问题请拨打秦苏珊律师楼。